Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Well, friends, it's an especially exciting time in the markets right now, and that is because there is a huge rotation going on from the mega cap companies down into smaller capitalization companies. And this is extremely important for investors to understand as they make their decisions. But not only that, what you also want to do then is to go further into sectors that have a great supply demand imbalance. And then finally, you want to try to target those companies that can take advantage of the two things above. And that's why I'm thrilled today to be joined by Paul Dickson, chairman of AXEL REE, a newly listed REE IPO with a huge landholding in Brazil, which happens to be the REE corridor. Now, enough with me. Paul, welcome.
Thank you very much, Greg. Thanks for your time. I look forward to talking to your listeners.
Great. Hey, Paul, before we get into the project, we always focus on the people first and foremost. You have a lot of experience. Can you just tell us a little bit about your background and also you're involved with some other star companies?
Yeah, absolutely. So my background has been primarily stockbroking for many years and then corporate advisory. And equally, I was a founding director of Alligator Energy and listed Alligator Energy, the uranium company. And now we've taken that from an explorer to an emerging producer. We're in development stage, just pre-development, but we've certainly brought that company from a 5 mil market cap to, north of 200 mil.
Right. So, Paul, the point I want to make is that this isn't your first rodeo and that you are big game hunting, so to speak. And now, speaking of that, turning to AXEL REE and its large landholding, which comes out to you first and foremost, can you just talk to us about it, please?
Yeah, I think that was what attracted me to the company. And not only the large landholding, but equally the stages that they're at. The Caladeo project in the Lithium Valley, that was quite advanced. And that's what really attracted me is that they'd already done soil sampling, mapping. They'd actually worked out that in the Lithium Valley, there were two different type of granites, G5 and G4. And the G4 granites host lithium and G5 host rare earths. So AXEL REE pegged all of the ground that had the G5 granites. And with that, there are these large circular features. You can actually see them on the geophysics that run all the way up through the tenements. And they're the host granites for rare earths. And the size of the clays, I mean, there was 48 holes drilled to about 20 meters deep, and some of the intersections, were 18 meters at 2,700 odd ppm total rare earths. And of that, the proportion of magnetic rare earths, which are the key ones, is quite high, up to 35%. Now, meteorics average around about the 20 odd percent to 25. I'm not saying our average will be up there, but
Right.
it's to say that certainly there's the evidence of it's a big structure. They've drilled over 25 kilometres with most of the holes mineralised. Now, to me, I look for what's a potential world-class discovery.
Sure.
And it's something that has scale, it has high grade, it's near surface, near infrastructure. And this particular project has all of that. As to metallurgy, that's equally one of the key things. We haven't done any metallurgical test work yet, but that is what we'll do in this program is we'll be drilling with diamond drill rigs in pattern drilling to generate a JORC resource as quickly as we can. And at the same time, we'll be collecting samples so that we can do metallurgical test work. And we are expecting them. They're similar to the clays behind me. That's
Right.
actually, you can see some geologists there. That shows you the thickness.
Right.
And we're expecting them to be ionic clays, but we do need to do that test work.
Right. And just to be clear, this is for the Caldero project, which is the most advanced. So we're
Correct.
targeting for an MRE. Can you just tell us, Paul, about the timing right now as we're filming? It's in July of 2024.
I would say 8 to 10 months is what we've been saying to generate a JORC resource, but we may be able to put out an estimate a bit earlier of the size. I mean, if we're seeing depth potential down to 40, 50 meters, which we expect we should, it may even be deeper.
Right.
and we've drilled along 25K. So if we actually have horizontal lines of drilling, then you can actually start to, do back of the envelope numbers as to what the resource could be.
Right. And Paul, as you know, given your experience in the markets, it's so critical to keep that news flow coming. It sounds like, as I said, between now and calendar year end, there's certainly going to be some news out here.
Absolutely, because that's one of the projects. The second most advanced project, the Caldas project, which is near Meteorix and Viridis,
Yes.
we have tenements inside the caldera and outside the caldera, and we have done soil sampling already over 13 odd tenements there that we've got out of quite a much larger land holding, and every sample that we took again was mineralized. So we'll be doing auger drilling there very quickly, and that does generate quicker results. It's sort of like scout drilling where you test to delineate where you know you've got rare earths, and then come back with diamond and air core drilling at a later point in time to generate the resource.
Right.
But we will be doing both of this drilling concurrently, so we're
Okay.
we're not waiting for one or the other to finish. We'll be doing them concurrently. And then the final project is one that internally we all really quite like is Itakira, and I'd love to show you a picture of the geophysical target that we've got there. It's an alkaline complex that is on deep lineament structures that go
Okay.
down right into the Earth's crust, and these structures are responsible for all of the calderas that are in Brazil. They all came up at the same time, the Upper Cretaceous period.
And why is that
And
important that they all came up at the same time?
well, it's not that all of the others have producing mines on them.
Right.
And it's significant that why should this be any different? If it's come up at the same time, the same age of rocks, it's on the same lineament structures, and this is 20 by 30 kilometers in diameter, so it's very large. And we've
Right.
got a large land holding there. So we're very excited about this one, and we'll be doing soil sampling mapping, and then we'll get into scout drilling as quickly as we can. So with the scout drilling, we actually
Right.
bought two auger drill rigs for $27,000,
Try
which
doing that in
is,
Australia.
yeah, no, exactly. You can't. And we've got the teams over there, so we'll be moving them around as and when needed.
Right. So you have three projects, and what's also interesting with the company is that one is more advanced there in the Caldero. Caldas is kind of in the middle, and then you said Itakara is kind of the potential monster that is a little bit earlier stage. But from a company point of view, it's nice to have that breakdown, isn't it?
It's perfect. You actually, in project generation, you want exactly that. And to be honest, that's what we've been looking for in Alligator as well. So
Right.
it's no different. And so we're very cognizant of that. We know that we've got one that's more low-hanging fruit, where it's more advanced, where you have more certainty on the results. The other one, we're still very confident with the results, but it's not as advanced. And then the other one, which is the potential home run with the baseball bat, that could come in.
Right, exactly. So, Paul, I guess the question is now the value. AXEL REE, where the company is trading it right now versus what's on offer. What are your thoughts?
Well, it was a tough week, I'll put it that way. I
I'm
will
sure.
say that we're well funded for the next 2 years, though. So our drilling programs are well funded, and
Right,
we'll be very prudent with our money. I think what I'd like to say is that since we raised the money and then coming to listing, those 2.5 months or so,
right,
the rare earth market adjusted, and you had companies like Meteoric falling in late April from 25 cents to 12 cents, the other
right,
day, and then they raised money. So I'm not sure where they ended up late last week, but a lot of the companies have fallen, by 50%. So we're in a poor sentiment for a rare earth market at the moment. Just at the moment, we've had
right,
a great initial. Having unfortunately been a chartist, I often think of three legs of a bull market, and I think we've had that first leg where it certainly in the well into the consolidation period of the second leg,
right.
um, and then you need to get set for the next rally, and that's how I perceive it. So we've got an EV that's extremely low now,
Right.
and I think we compare very well to our peers, and that's just on an EV basis. Even though we've everybody's virtually halved in price, but there's one other thing that I like about where we sit is that we're in the right part of the Lassonde Curve. So we're at that point where it's making a discovery and
Right.
making the size of the discovery, and that's where you often get share price appreciation. Meteoric and a lot, Meteoric certainly, having done the scoping study, is now in that funding valley where,
Right.
and you saw that they, did a capital raise last week. So,
Paul, can
we're
you
at
just
different points.
explain? Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but in just 30 seconds, for people that are not familiar with the Lassonde curve, can you just give a 1 minute explanation, please?
Okay, the you'll find it. Acorn has, I think, a good slide on it for their
They do.
yeah, they do. So please, if anyone has a look, have a look there. And they try to target companies that are just entering that potential discovery phase. And that's where AXEL REE fits right now, is that
Okay.
exactly that point. And you then see that with discovery, the share price, if you make the discovery, you have to make the discovery,
Right.
then
Of
the
course.
share price can respond very well. It's that's the maximum point of appreciation you really get. And then once you've delineated the size of it, then often you'll find that everyone says, "All right, well now you've got to do all your scoping studies, your feasibility studies, and your funding, and that can take a couple of years."
Right.
So that's where they go into and they stop exploring. So you'll find that that's when they don't get their bang for the buck.
Absolutely. And investors, if you take nothing from this interview, including from Axel, you must understand this Lassonde curve. It's so, so critical, isn't it, Paul?
It is, yeah.
Right. So, Paul, I think that we understand the value here. I think we understand what the market perhaps is missing. One other point, I just want to understand that rare earths, it's a big swath, a big area, and certainly there's a lot of excitement, but let's be honest, very few projects will ever come online. Can you just talk to us for investors? What is the difference in types of rare earths and especially the clays?
Yeah, absolutely. So the advantage that Brazil has is that it's a very uh, high rainfall tropical country. And so you get highly weathered clays and the topography is highly weathered with rainfall. And because of that, you actually get nature doing its job for you. It actually
Right.
helps in the separation of the rare earths. So that's an advantage that you'll find that the Brazilian companies have.
Okay.
And Brazil already the third largest, owner of resources of rare earths in the world. I think it's going to grow and grow and become one of the epicenters. And particularly, Greg, what I'm seeing in the market, particularly in uranium, is a bifurcation of the world between the East and the West. And
Okay.
we're certainly seeing supply chain. And given that China supplies 80 to 90% of the world's rare earths, the Western world wants access to a new source that's reliable, safe, and secure. And that's why the US is putting up soft loans to Brazil, to Australian companies that are operating in Brazil. They
Okay.
want to see they want to see the Brazilian rare earth sector get up, and they want to see them develop and produce mines.
Right.
So I think that then you contrast those ionic clays in Brazil with hard rock
Yes.
rare earths and the monazite ones and the like, where they have to crush, grind, and go through all the metallurgical work, which is quite difficult and
Right.
complex. When it's like that, it's costly. So the Brazilian rare earth companies are likely to be low on the cost curve,
Yes.
and the hard rock ones high on the cost curve. And as you know in economics, the ones that are low on the cost curve survive, through tougher
Right.
periods.
Yes. And also, and not only that, investors, anyone in pretty much any commodity that's in the lower quartile, you generally have better share price appreciation as well.
Absolutely. And they have that better chance of getting up and surviving and doing well and prospering. And
Right.
that's key.
Yeah. Paul, we want to keep the interview short, but we really wanted to chat with you after the IPO and especially with the opportunity at hand with the share price there. Any closing comments for the audience?
Well, just that we're determined. We're determined to succeed. We're well funded. We'll prioritize our money and use it wisely. And we're all equally very excited with our opportunities. We think that each of our top three opportunities has the potential to be a world-class discovery and a world-class mine. So uh, probably less so with Itakira because it's earlier stage, but certainly the first two are more advanced, and we can see what we've got there, and it's looking pretty good. So, we think that longer term, and bear in mind this transition to electrification of the world, this is a 50-year trend. It's not a 10-minute
Yes.
trend. So you have ups and downs in every cycle, and I think it's very good to in the down times to pick your horses and
Yes.
try and pick the ones that you want to back the people and the projects.
Absolutely. Well said. And we certainly hope that you replicate the same success that you've had, Paul, at Alligator.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.